All right, before we jump in, a quick heads up. Viewer discretion is strongly recommended. What you're about to hear is the exact courtroom testimony from the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. As reported by Inner City Press, this isn't some scripted drama. It's real. Nobody saw it coming. The courtroom was tense. Everyone's eyes locked on the next witness. Then suddenly, the back doors opened, and in walked Will Smith. The gasps echoed across the room. Even the judge froze for a moment. No grand announcement, no prepared speech, just Will stepping up on his own. Up until then, he'd stayed quiet, letting rumors swirl, court leaks spread, and disturbing secret recordings whisper in the background. Recordings the public wasn't meant to hear. But something shifted. Maybe it was the betrayals from people he once trusted. Maybe it was finally hearing those tapes behind closed doors. Whatever it was, Will decided enough was enough. He wasn't there as a celebrity. He was there as a man who'd seen too much and held back for too long. And when he started to talk, no one in that courtroom was ready for what came next. Because what Will revealed about Diddy, the wild parties, the manipulation, the fear, wasn't just shocking, it was a warning. The trial day started like any other. The courtroom hummed with quiet chatter. Reporters settled in their seats. Lawyers whispered last-minute strategies, all waiting for the next witness. Then the side doors swung open, and Will Smith walked in, alone. No entourage, no lawyers, no fanfare. The atmosphere shifted instantly. You could have heard a pin drop. Some thought it was a mix-up. Others suspected a stunt. But the way Will moved, slow, steady, calm, that old Fresh Prince charm, replaced by something raw and real, told everyone this was serious. The judge raised an eyebrow, and Diddy, who had been lounging confidently at the defense table, suddenly looked uneasy. Will headed straight to the witness stand, didn't look at anyone, not even Diddy, or did he? "I wasn't asked to come here today," Will said quietly. "I asked if I could speak." The judge nodded, and from that moment, everything changed. What Will was about to share wasn't some media leak or social post. It was something he'd carried with him for years, something that started at a party everyone was told to keep quiet about. "I've held this in for too long," he said. "I've smiled on red carpets. I've accepted awards. I've starred in films about honor and courage. But none of that hides what I saw, what I lived through, and who was behind it all." He shifted his gaze slightly toward Diddy. "That was you." Will told the court it all began like so many Hollywood stories do, with an invitation. It came from a mutual contact, someone he'd worked with before. They painted it as a simple celebration. Diddy's birthday party. Nothing wild, just music, some networking, a place to relax. I'd been to parties like that before, so I didn't think twice. But the moment I arrived, I knew something wasn't right. It was a massive mansion tucked away in the hills. Black SUVs lined the driveway. Security was tight, and the second I walked in, my phone was taken from me. That should have been my first warning. They said it was for privacy, to protect the guests, but it felt like something else, like they didn't want anything leaking out. Inside, the lights were dim, the music low, strange, almost hypnotic rhythms. No visible cameras, but mirrors were everywhere. Felt like someone was always watching. After a few drinks and some small talk, Diddy came over, said something like, "Now you're part of the family," and that smile, it wasn't warm, it was possessive. Will followed him into a back room, thinking they'd talk business. But what he saw next shook him deeply. Inside that room were people performing, men and women. Some faces I recognized from movies and music. Others looked too young, way too young. Around them, others watched like it was some kind of show. And Diddy, he was laughing, acting like this was totally normal. Will paused, swallowing hard. I didn't know how to get out, and that was the point. Once you're in, you're stuck. A few days later, he got a call from a blocked number. The voice said only, "Hope you had fun, Fresh Prince." Then it hung up. At first he thought it was a prank, until an unmarked envelope showed up at his office. Inside was a flash drive. I almost didn't want to look, but I did. It had footage from that night, me clearly out of it, sitting on a couch, laughing at something I don't even remember. Behind the camera, Diddy's voice saying, "That's how we keep him." Will told the court the fear he felt then was like nothing else he'd ever known. "I realized I wasn't invited to that party. I was initiated. That's when the control started. The pressure, the silence enforced by fear. And for the first time, Will Smith broke that silence, right there in court.